Hello everybody, a very warm welcome to all the students wherever you are to this live broadcast. My name is B. Raghavendra and I am working as an assistant professor of English in Government Degree College, Narsapur, and the topic of my presentation is Indianisms. This topic is part of your UG second year semester 4 syllabus, unit 7 to be precise. So, although this presentation is mainly directed at UG second year students, I request all the students to join this program because the topic is of general interest. Now, before I define what Indianisms are and talk more about Indian English, I want you to read 4 sentences which are given on your screen. Please read them carefully. So, these 4 sentences I have heard from people around me. Look at the first sentence. Today is my happy birthday. The second sentence, I cut my hair yesterday. The third one, don't eat my brain. And the fourth one, she is sitting on my head. Reading these sentences, you may get a question. What is the meaning of these sentences? For example, in the first sentence, today is my happy birthday, it sounds as if the speaker himself is greeting, okay, he is making a self greeting, okay. And then in the second sentence, I cut my hair yesterday, again the speaker sounds as if he has cut the hair himself. And in the third sentence, when somebody says don't eat my brain, so you may ask that person, why would I eat your brain? I am not a cannibal. And then the fourth sentence, she is sitting on my head. Again, why would any woman come and sit on anybody else's head? There is no point in that, right? So, these 4 sentences, I want to give the intended meaning and also their equivalents, okay, in global English. So, that you will see in the next slide. So, in the first sentence, today is my happy birthday, the intended meaning is, it's my birthday today. That is the correct way of framing that sentence. And in the second sentence, I cut my hair yesterday, the intended meaning is, I had a haircut yesterday. So, it is not that I cut my hair myself, but I went to a barber shop and had a haircut. So, the correct way of saying that is, I had a haircut yesterday. And in the third sentence, don't eat my brain. The intended meaning is, don't annoy me. The correct way of saying it is, don't annoy me. Nobody can eat a human brain, it is not an edible thing. So, the fourth sentence, she is sitting on my head. Again, the intended meaning is, she is forcing me to do something I don't like. She is not literally sitting on somebody's head, she is forcing me to do something that I don't like. I have taken these 4 examples to illustrate what Indianisms are. These 4 sentences are used only in our country. It is not very common to hear these sentences in other English speaking countries. So, I will talk about Indianisms and I will give more examples later. So, first I want to give a little background to this Indianisms and Indian English. As you know, English has spread to different parts of the world and the language is changing and it is acquiring more and more local color. So, the number of Englishes is increasing. English is not today one monolithic entity, there are a number of Englishes. So, we hear today about African English, American English, British English, Australian English and of course, Indian English. Now, what is Indian English? So, Indian English is the variety of English used in our country. It is considered a non-native variety of English. You need to understand the difference between native variety of English and non-native variety of English. Native varieties of English are spoken by people whose first language is English. For example, people in Britain or America speak English as their first language. So, British English and American English are considered native varieties. So, whereas in India we speak English as a second or third language. So, Indian English is considered a non-native variety. So, let me tell you that Indian English need not be considered incorrect. You just have to know how it differs from native varieties of English. This is because in the globalization context that we have today, you may have to communicate with people from different countries in English. So, they may not understand if you speak Indian English. Some expressions that are peculiar to India, they may not understand. So, it is very important to communicate properly. That is the reason you need to know how Indian English differs from the other varieties. Now, what is an Indianism? The topic of our today's lecture is Indianism. So, Indianisms are words, phrases, expressions or sentence constructions that are used widely in Indian English, but are not common in other English speaking countries. So, again, as I said, Indian English is a perfectly valid variety of English, and Indianisms are or should be as acceptable as Americanisms. You know what are Americanisms? They are peculiar to American English. For example, they use bucks for money, okay? They use bucks for dollars. So, that is an Americanism. So, I feel that Indianisms should be as acceptable as Americanisms. Now, I want to give you in the next slides, I want to give you examples of sentences which can be classified as Indianisms, and I want to give their equivalents in what is called global English. Okay, let us begin. Look at this slide. Look at the first sentence. It says, I ordered for a coffee, and the corrected version is, I ordered a cup of coffee. The error in the sentence is highlighted in yellow. So, order is a transitive verb. So, as you know, transitive verbs take a subject and an object. So, here the object of order here is a cup of coffee or simply a coffee. So, the correct sentence is, I ordered a cup of coffee, not I ordered for a coffee. However, order can also be used as a noun. For example, I can say, I have placed an order for a mobile phone on Amazon.com. That is a perfectly acceptable sentence, because in that sentence order is used as a noun. However, in this sentence order is used as a verb and it is not followed by the preposition for. So, that is a correction. And look at the second sentence. Let us discuss about common errors in English. Again, here discuss is a transitive verb. So, it takes a direct object. So, the object of discuss in this sentence is common errors in English. So, discuss should not be followed by about. You have to directly say, let us discuss common errors in English. You may use another word, discussion. So, you can say, let us have a discussion. Even in that case, you should not be using about, you should be using on. So, if you want to frame that sentence differently, you can say, let us have a discussion on common errors in English. So, remember, discuss is not followed by about. Discuss itself means talk about. So, we will go to the next slide. Let us look at the third sentence. The meeting is preponed, and the corrected sentence is, the meeting is advanced. Now, here in our country, prepone is used as an antonym of postpone, but in global English the word for that is advance. Suppose you have scheduled a meeting at 2 o'clock today and then you have rescheduled it to 12 o'clock. So, you have to say the meeting is advanced to 12 o'clock. Do not say the meeting is preponed to 12 o'clock. People in a global context may not understand the word prepone. So, why should we confuse them? I may add here that prepone has been added to Oxford English Dictionary in 2010. However, it is better to use advance rather than prepone. Now, the fourth sentence, I was out of station last week. Now, in global English, the word station the word station is used for a bus station or a railway station or a police station or even a gas station. So, when you say I was out of station last week, others would wonder, were you out of a police station or were you out of a railway station? So, the correct sentence here is I was out of town last week. Now, you may ask me, sir, I live in a village. So, how can I say I was out of town last week? So, I want to answer that it does not matter whether you live in a village or a city. The size of the place does not matter. The correct expression is out of town. So, even if you are living in a village, say that I was out of town last week. Don't say I was out of station last week. Now, we come to the next slide, the fifth sentence. This sentence, the fifth one, is usually found in letters. So, usually while ending a letter, they would say, I am sending you an application, please do the needful. So, the corrected version is, I am sending you an application, I hope you consider it favorably, or please consider it favorably. Please do the needful is an old fashioned Indian English expression which you should avoid. It goes back to the dates to the time of the British conquest of India. So, don't use that sentence. Please say, I hope you consider it favorably. So, that is the right way to say it. And the sixth sentence, he bought this car a few years back. Usually, back refers to the rear side of your body. So, you should be saying, when you want to say that you have done something in the past. So, the correct word for that to be used is ago. So, you should be saying he bought this car a few years ago. So, you can also say 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or 4 months ago or 5 years ago, but don't say 2 years back, 3 months back. That is not the right expression. Next, seventh one, he had studied law, he passed out last year. Now, there are two sentences in that. One is he had studied law and the second one is he passed out last year. Now, in the first sentence, had studied is in the past perfect tense. So, this tense is used when you are referring to two actions in the past and you want to point out which action happened earlier. So, in this sentence, there are no two actions. So, you do not have to use past perfect tense, simply say he studied law. You are using in this sentence simple past tense. And in the second part of the sentence, he passed out last year. The phrasal verb pass out means to become unconscious. For example, if you have too many drinks, you may become unconscious. So, pass out means to become unconscious. So, after you study law, I am sure you do not become unconscious, right? So, the correct word for that is graduated. So, you should be saying he graduated last year. Next, eighth one, kindly revert back at the earliest. Revert is to bring back something to its original position. It never means respond. So, you should be using the word respond in the sentence, and the corrected version of that sentence is please respond at the earliest. Next one, ninth one. This is again very commonly found in Indian English. My computer is not working. Okay, do one thing. This is a conversation between two persons. One person is saying, my computer is not working, and the other person says, okay, do one thing. Now, here, when something is not functioning properly, the correct expression is out of order. If your mobile phone or your television set or whatever electronic equipment is not working, so you should be saying, my mobile phone is out of order. not my computer or my mobile phone is not working. That is not the right expression. So, my computer is out of order, and as a reply, okay, we will try to fix it. That is the correct expression. When something is out of order, what you should do? You should try to fix it. So, usually in our country, you say, okay, do one thing. Aithe oka pani cheyi. That is a translation. We should not translate like that, because in global English, people may not understand do one thing. Does it take only one thing to set computer in order? It may take many things. Okay. So, that is why we should say we will try to fix it. Now, the 10th sentence, I am having a headache. Now, in this sentence, the correct sentence is I have a headache. You should not use present continuous tense unnecessarily. Even if you are having a headache right now, you should not use present continuous tense. You should simply say I have a headache. You may be having a car. Don't say I am having a car. You say I have a car. So, this is the corrected version. Next, 11th one. On Sundays, I am sitting at home only. Now, only is another word that is very peculiarly used and also very often used in Indian English. So, the correct version is on Sundays, I usually stay at home. Don't say I am sitting at home only. Say I usually stay at home. Next, the 12th one, I can be able to do it. Now, here can is used before verbs to show capability. For example, you can say I can swim, or I can sing, I can dance, I can speak 5 languages. So, can shows capability, and am able to is another phrase which shows capability. So, you can say I am able to paint. That means now you have acquired the capability to paint, but do not combine can and be able to in one sentence. Do not say I can be able to do it. You have to say I can do it or I am able to do it. That is a correct way to express the sentence. Now, we will go to the 13th one. Take the umbrella, rain is coming. Now, rain is not a living person. So, you cannot say rain is coming. The correct expression for that is it is raining. You use the dummy subject it. So, you say take the umbrella, it is raining. Usually you use is coming for persons. For example, you can say Ravi is coming to the office today. That is a perfectly fine expression, but you should not use is coming for inanimate objects like rain. Now, the 14th one, I forgot to give key to the watch. The correct expression is I forgot to wind the watch. The act of turning the part of the watch to make it work is that act is called winding. So, do not say give key to the watch, say wind the watch. Next, 15th sentence. Sorry. He failed to get a job and so he is keeping quiet. Now, keeping quiet means being silent and not talking. So, that is not the correct expression. You should be saying he failed to get a job and so he is idle. Idle means not doing any work. So, but in our Indian English, usually we say he is keeping quiet to mean that he is idle and he is jobless. Next, 16th one, what is your good name please? Now, this is a classic example of an Indianism. This is a translation from the Indian Hindi expression, Aapka Shubh Naam kya hai? Now, when you say good name, that means you have two names. One is a good name and another a bad name. And I am very sure none of us have a good name and a bad name. Either we have a name and maybe we have a nickname, but we do not have good bad names. So, the correct expression is may I know your name, and if you want to be more polite, you can say may I know your name please? Next one, the 17th one, this is again very commonly heard in our country, I will go and come. People use these sentences when they are parting from others. This is a translation from our Indian languages, Vellostanu. So, for that they translate the sentence as I will go and come. But in the global context, in global English, they do not say I will go and come when they are parting from others. They will say see you soon, or see you later, or see you again. So, when they are parting from people, they would say bye, see you later, and maybe good night. That is how they part from people. So, you should not use the expression I will go and come. Foreigners may not understand what exactly you mean by that sentence. Next, 18th one, no parking before the gate. Now, many people in our country use before to indicate place, that is just right in front of you. So, the correct expression for that is no parking in front of the gate. Before is used to show sequence. For example, clean the house before I come home. So, this is a sequence. Here you can use before, but when you want to indicate a place, you should be using in front of. Similarly, if you look at the 19th sentence, parking at the back side. We in India have a tendency to use side in many sentences. For example, you say come this side or go that side, whereas in global English, they do not say that. They say come here or go there. That is the correct expression. Side is used when you are referring to some diagram in mathematics to say some side of a triangle or a rectangle. So, do not say back side. The corrected sentence is parking available at the back, or to be more specific, parking available behind the building. So, that is a corrected sentence. Next, 20th sentence, have you taken your meals? Now, meal refers to an occasion when food is taken. For example, the meal taken in the morning is called breakfast, and the meal taken in the afternoon is called lunch, and similarly the meal taken at night is called dinner. When you say have you taken your meals, you are asking that person whether he has taken 3 meals together, which is not possible, right? So, either you can take only 1 meal at a time. So, you have to say, you be more specific. You say have you taken your breakfast, or have you taken your lunch, or have you taken your dinner, or have you taken your afternoon tea. That is the right expression. Do not use meals in plural to refer to any of these 3 occasions. Next sentence, 21st, she is my cousin sister, but he is my real brother. This is another classic Indianism. We in India tend to use cousin, brother, cousin, sister, whereas in English, cousin belongs to the category common gender. As you know, common gender, nouns belonging to common gender, they can be either masculine or feminine. For example, friend. The word friend can be masculine or feminine, but similarly, cousin also belongs to common gender. So, when you are using cousin, you should not add brother or sister. Simply say she is my cousin or he is my cousin. As you know, cousins refer to children of your uncles and aunts. And look at the second part of the sentence, but he is my real brother. Again the question arises, do people have real brothers and imaginary brothers? Do they have 2 kinds of brothers? No. You can have either you have a brother or you do not. So, whoever that brother is, he is a real brother, he cannot be unreal or imaginary. So, the correct way to say this sentence is, she is my cousin, but he is my brother. Next, 22nd one, kindly attend the meeting without fail. Now, here kindly is again used very frequently in our country. In every letter we use kindly, but if you observe the sentence carefully, attend the meeting without fail looks like an order, and kindly attend the meeting looks like a request. So, either you can make a request or an order, you can't do two things at the same time. So, either you say please attend the meeting, or you say attend the meeting without fail. Now, in global English, please is the preferred word when you are making a request. Kindly is rarely used or not used at all. So, always they say please come here, please give me your mobile phone, whatever. So, the corrected sentences, as you can see on your screen, please attend the meeting or attend the meeting without fail. We will go to the next sentence. He told he was going to America. Now, told is a transitive verb and it takes an object. So, either you can say he told me that he was going to America, or he said he was going to America. You can't say he told he was going to America. That means you are leaving that told without an object. Next, 24th one, I will explain you. Now, again here you obviously refers to a person, and a person is not a formula or an experiment to be explained. When you say I will explain you, you are treating that person as if he were a formula or an experiment. So, the corrected sentence is I will explain it to you. Now, that it can be a lesson, an idea, or an experiment or whatever. So, you have to say I will explain it to you. That is the correct expression. Now, we will come to the 25th one. Let me suggest you something. So, it is better to say let me suggest something to you. You always suggest some idea or advice to somebody. So, it is better to put something after suggest, and you can place it at the end. So, that is the correct way of saying that sentence. 26th one, why not you try this idea? The corrected sentence is why don't you try out this idea? Now, why not you try is grammatically wrong. You should say why don't you try this idea, or still better, why don't you try out this idea? Now, try out means to put something to test. For example, this idea is being tested. So, I would prefer to say why don't you try out this idea, or alternatively why don't you try this idea out? That is also acceptable. Next, 27th one, please correct if I am incorrect. This is another Indian expression, whereas in global English the same sentence would be said as please correct me if I am wrong. Now, correct is a transitive verb, it takes an object. So, please correct me if I am wrong. That is a correct way of saying it. Next, 28th sentence, you are calling regarding. This sentence is usually heard in telephone conversations. So, whenever you make a phone call, you will get a response from the other side. They will say you are calling regarding. Whereas in global English, as soon as you call somebody, say a customer service number, they would immediately say how can I help you? That is a correct way of asking a person why he is calling the company. So, the correct way of saying it, how can I help you, or you can even say how may I help you, that is also acceptable, but do not say you are calling regarding. As you can see, you are using two present participles together, calling, regarding, that is also incorrect. Next, 29th one, can you repeat it again please? The corrected sentence is can you repeat it please? Now, here repeat means to say something again. So, here you do not have to use again, it would be duplication. So, you have to say, can you repeat it please? 30th one, sorry for the delay in replying to your letter. This is grammatically a correct sentence, there is nothing wrong with that, but I have a problem with the lengthy expression, sorry for the delay in replying to your letter. So, I would simply say sorry for the late reply. It is a much simpler sentence, sorry for the late reply. So, do not use lengthy expressions, especially when you are writing a letter. Next, 31st one, I am having tension. As you know, tension refers to emotional strain or mental strain. So, in global English, they would simply say I am tense. As I said earlier, have is rarely used in continuous tenses. You never say I am having a car, I have a car. In the same way, do not say I am having tension, you just say I am tense. 32nd one, it is coming engaged. Again, this sentence is often used in telephone conversations. So, you call somebody and you could not reach him, and you say it is coming engaged. Now, engaged refers to the act of being engaged to somebody, or you are engaged in some work. So, the correct expression for that is the line is busy. This is how in global English they would use the expression. 33rd one, they are like that only. Now, as I said earlier, only is very commonly used in our country. The same sentence in global English, they would say that is how they are. From 34th sentences, you will see that we have given some expressions previous to this. So, you say previous to this, I was working in a private company, but the correct expression is before this, I was working in a private company. So, use before rather than previous to. And then 35th one, today morning. Usually we say I came home today morning, but in global English they would say this morning. I came home this morning. That is the correct expression. 36th one, why because. Again, this sentence is very commonly used. You see people telling you, I had fever, I did not come to college yesterday. Why? Because I had fever. So, here because has the meaning of why included in it. So, you do not have to say why because, you simply say I did not come to college yesterday because I had fever. So, this is again another common Indian expression which is grammatically wrong. 37th one, from your end. I often hear people saying to me, I did not hear from your end. Now, end has a meaning of death. So, when you say I did not hear from your end, what exactly do you mean? You can simply say I did not hear from you. That is the correct expression. Why do you want to add end to that sentence? I may misunderstand that word. Next, 38th one, English medicine. Now, usually I heard people saying, I take English medicine, not homeopathic medicine. Now, here, as you know, there are many systems of medicine. One is allopathy, you have homeopathy, naturopathy, and you also have Ayurveda. So, when you are following, say, allopathy, you should say, I am taking allopathic medicines, or I am taking homeopathic medicines, or I am taking Ayurvedic medicines. Do not say I am taking English medicine. There is nothing like an English medicine. 39th one, cent percent. Now, percent is a fixed expression to mean for every 100. So, when you are using this expression, don't say 10%, you say 100%. You say I scored 100% in mathematics. That is the correct expression. Don't say I scored 100% in mathematics. Now, the 40th sentence, cut the call. This is again very frequently used, cut the call. He cut the call. Now, call is not something you can cut. You can cut cloth, you can cut paper, but call is not something you can cut. The correct expression for that is hang up abruptly. So, you say he hung up abruptly when I called him. Don't say he cut the call. 41st one, non-veg. This word can be seen everywhere in our country on signboards outside restaurants. You find this word. They say veg and non-veg. But in global English, the word non-veg is not used. They would use the word meat. So, don't say I don't eat non-veg. You have to say I don't eat meat. You have vegetarian, the word vegetarian, you have the word vegan, but you don't have the word non-vegetarian. You have to use the word meat. 42nd one, batchmate. The preferred expression is classmate. So, you say so and so is my classmate, don't say so and so is my batchmate. And the 43rd sentence, wheatish. Often you say somebody, Mr. XYZ is wheatish in complexion, but in global English they would say he has lighter skin color. They would not understand when you say wheatish. They know wheat as a grain. 44th one, cribbing. Even this sentence, many people they say he is always cribbing. What they want to convey is he is always complaining. So, when you want to convey that sentence, please use the word complaining, don't use cribbing, because cribbing is not used in the sense of complaining in global English. Now, 45th sentence, mixie. This piece of equipment is usually found in our kitchens. We in India use the word mixie for that, whereas in global English, the words for this piece of equipment are blender or mixer. So, they say I bought a blender yesterday or I bought a mixer yesterday. They never use the word mixie. 46th one, level best. So, before students go to an exam, I heard some people telling them, do your level best. Level only refers to the levels of a building, for example, level 1, level 2, level 3. You don't use that with best. So, simply say do your best, that is the correct expression. And then 47th one, mug up. Now, this is again very commonly used. We say don't mug up before an exam. Actually, what you want to say is don't cram too much information before the exam. Mug in global English means to commit a robbery. So, you have to say don't memorize, you try to understand the meaning of these sentences. So, here the substitutes for mug up is memorize or cram. Say memorize these lines of poetry before you come to the next class. So, to conclude, I want to emphasize once again that Indian English is a perfectly acceptable form of English. You just have to know how it differs from global English, so that your communication with in a global context, for example, in a multinational company, would be better. So, before I conclude my presentation, I would like to thank our Honorable Commissioner, Shri Naveen Mittal Garu, for giving me this opportunity to address a live audience across the state. I would also thank his team at the CCE for giving me this opportunity. I would like to thank my college principal, Shri P. Damodar Garu, for giving full cooperation and encouragement and making this lecture possible. So, thank you once again and goodbye.